Welcome to The Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. A new study shows that people infected with the virus had similar numbers whether they were vaccinated or not. Governor Greg Abbott is projecting a completed border wall for Texas by the end of the year. A recent poll shows that 71% of Americans believe the U.S. is on the wrong track. What do you think? And the Air Force could be in trouble if 12,000 active duty airmen don't get vaccinated by the November 2nd deadline. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. New research suggests that vaccinated people are just as likely to spread the Delta variant as unvaccinated people. According to the new study published on October 30th in the Lancet Infectious Disease Journal, people infected with COVID-19 had similar numbers of the virus whether they had been vaccinated or not. The study further found that 25% of vaccinated household contacts were infected with COVID-19, while 38% of unvaccinated people were diagnosed with the disease. The study said that while the vaccine remains effective in preventing serious illness and death from COVID-19, the findings show that vaccination is not sufficient to prevent the spread of the Delta variant in household settings where there is a long-term contact. Increasing the population immunity via booster programs and vaccination of teenagers will help to increase the currently limited effect of vaccination on transmission, but our analysis suggests that direct protection of individuals at risk of severe outcomes via vaccination and non-pharmacological intervention will remain central to containing the burden of disease caused by the Delta variant, the researchers wrote. The U.S. has now begun to see a nationwide decline in COVID-19 cases, although it remains unclear whether this decline is seasonal or permanent, or whether cases will reemerge in the winter. The results of this study show that vaccination is not a foolproof preventative measure, as seen with some of the latest cases. Just take a look at Press Secretary Jen Psaki and the recently deceased former Secretary of Defense Colin Powell, who were fully vaccinated and still contracted the infection. On a state-by-state basis, Florida has not enforced any mandatory vaccine measures, while it has one of the lowest rates of the virus in the country. We really don't understand the Biden administration's mandatory vaccine order, which makes Americans choose between getting vaccinated and keeping their jobs. Where is the scientific basis for this? As of October 29th, 19 states had filed 3 separate lawsuits to block President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate for federal contractors, arguing that the requirement violates federal law. These states include Texas, Alaska, Arkansas, Iowa, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Georgia, Alabama, Idaho, Kansas, South Carolina, Utah, West Virginia, and Florida. President Joe Biden issued a controversial executive order on September 9th requiring federal employees to receive the vaccine as condition of employment. Contractors who fail to comply with the order may also lose their government contracts. The order will go into effect on December 8th. Under the order, regular COVID-19 testing is no longer an alternative to vaccination, but anyone can avoid getting vaccinated with religious or medical exemptions. All 19 states tried to block the Biden injunction, which violates the 10th Amendment separating federal and state powers, uses federal spending to coerce states, violates the Constitution, and did not properly allow for a 60-day public comment period. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton said in a statement on Friday that the Biden administration has repeatedly expressed contempt for Americans who choose not to be vaccinated and has repeatedly abused its federal power to force Americans to accept what they do not want. Must I remind everyone, this is America, the land of the free. The administration cannot take away any individual's right to choose whether or not to be vaccinated, period. Paxton said, if the president thinks his patience is wearing thin, he is clearly underestimating the lack of patience from Texans whose rights he is infringing. The lawsuit accuses the Biden administration of using subterfuge to accomplish goals it cannot achieve directly. Universal compliance with their vaccine mandates, regardless of individual preferences, healthcare needs, or religious beliefs. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt and Nebraska Attorney General Doug Peterson called the order unconstitutional, unlawful, and unwise. Schmidt said in a statement, if the federal government attempts to unconstitutionally exert its will and force contractors to mandate vaccinations, the workforce and businesses could be decimated, further exacerbating the supply chain and workforce crisis. Instead of improving the economics and efficiency of procurement, the lawsuit states that the vaccine order for contractors will lead to mass resignations of unvaccinated employees, which will have a devastating impact on the economy. Does the administration not see this? Is this not obvious? Or are they actually trying to ruin the economy on purpose? Here's what Governor Brian Kemp had to say. We will not allow the Biden administration to circumvent the law or force hardworking Georgians to choose between their livelihood or this vaccine. The lawsuit argues that the injunction will only stand if Congress passes it as a law. As many as 12,000 active duty airmen, 12,000, could be dismissed today for refusing to take the mandatory vaccine. The vast majority, 96.4%, are at least partially vaccinated, according to Air Force figures. However, military officials warned that without an approved medical or religious exemption, those who do not comply with the full vaccine order will be subject to penalties, which include the possibility of being discharged from the military or facing military prosecution. However, the penalties for those who don't get vaccinated may vary in the different branches of the military. Air Force spokeswoman Technical Sergeant Deanna M. Heitzman previously said, an airman or guardian who is not vaccinated by November 2nd will be in violation of a lawful general order and subject to discipline under Article 92 UCMJ. She added, even if a service member has stated they will refuse the vaccination, the order will not be violated until the deadline passes. This has caused widespread disagreement over how Air Force leaders will handle the 12,000 personnel. Vaccination deadlines for the other services range from November to the summer of 2022, and some of them are likely to react much more sharply than the Air Force. Catherine Kuzminski, military policy expert with the Washington think tank Center for a New American Security, said the potential firings could reduce the Air Force's ability to respond quickly and effectively, especially if unvaccinated people are concentrated in disproportionate numbers in positions that affect Air Force readiness, such as pilots and maintenance workers. The Air Force is the third largest branch of the military with 324,000 active members, meaning that up to 3% of its members could face dismissal. John Kirby, a spokesman for the Department of Defense, said that the number of people receiving a religious exemption for vaccines is generally very small. In the Army, only one person has received a medical exemption for the vaccine, while no one has received a religious exemption. The Navy has not granted a religious exemption for any vaccine in 7 years. And while this usually requires a 3- or 4-star general to decide whether the request should be granted, a well-intentioned request may also be denied if they believe it could harm a unit's cohesion and mission. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced that as the crisis at the southern border worsens, Texas is planning to build its own border wall. The move is an attempt to curb the impending caravan of thousands of illegal immigrants. It is estimated that around 2,000 to 4,000 illegals are currently crossing Mexico heading for Del Rio, Texas, or Yuma, Arizona. In a race against time, the state is rushing to complete the wall, with the Texas portion expected to be ready by the end of the year. In addition to the wall project, the governor has mobilized thousands of the Texas National Guardsmen and Department of Public Safety police officers to help curb illegal border crossings. Abbott said they are using different tactics to set up roadblocks at the border. Miles of razor wire is being laid and large shipping containers will be used to block entry points along the border. The Guard and Public Safety have been authorized to arrest anyone who enters the United States illegally and charge them with trespassing in Texas. Abbott said, Texas supports legal immigration, but will not be an accomplice to the open border policies that cause, rather than prevent, a humanitarian crisis in our state and endanger the lives of Texans. This upcoming caravan is not the first to make its way to the southern Texas border. This past September, a group of 15,000 Haitians and Central Americans illegally attempted to enter the United States. Many of those in the caravan were inspired by the Biden administration's lenient border policies and expected to be granted amnesty. Abbott said that while the Biden administration's disastrous policies have created an unprecedented border crisis, Biden has chosen to do nothing, literally nothing. The Lone Star State will continue to increase resources and personnel to secure the border. Without help from the White House, that leaves it to the states now to step up and do everything we can to hold on to the United States of America until Republicans can regain control of Congress and the presidency, said Abbott. In a speech on Friday, John Sopko, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan's reconstruction, accused the State Department and the Defense Department of withholding information about the fall of the former Afghan government, the army, and the chaos as U.S. forces withdrew. Congress and the public needed to know the truth. Sopko said the Defense Department was withholding data on the effectiveness of the Afghan security forces, including troop strength, training, deficiencies, and casualty data. He also said that the American public wanted to know whether the Afghan security forces was an accurate fighting force or a house of cards waiting to collapse. Well, I guess we all know the answer to that. He said the full picture of what happened in August, with all the warning information that would predict the outcome, is now restricted information that the Department of Defense and the State Department will only be disclosed if they decide it is ready for release. Sopko said that he had been asked by the State Department not to post the information online for the time being to ensure the safety of Afghans associated with the United States. But he was asked by Congress to launch an investigation into the collapse of the Afghan government and military. But the Defense Department has banned a series of releases dating back as far as 2015, presumably at the request of Ashraf Ghani's government. And coming up, a new NBC poll found that 71% of Americans say America is heading in the wrong direction. But before we continue, I want to take a quick second to ask all my friends watching and my live chat family to please take a moment to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, share the video. Also, to support the Eye Opener team, please consider donating to the show or purchase a mug that matters. You can find the link in the description below, and your support, as always, my friends, is greatly appreciated. Salute, my friends. Left-wing NBC host Chuck Todd announced a new NBC poll on Sunday's broadcast of Meet the Press, showing that 71% of Americans, including Democrats and Republicans, believe the United States is headed in the wrong direction. Todd said this poll is terrible news for the Democratic Party. The most important message is that Americans have lost faith in President Joe Biden and are not optimistic about the country. Only 22% of adults said America is moving in the right direction. He said President Biden's approval rating was a depressing 42%, while 54% did not approve. This compared with an approval rating of 49% just 2 months ago. What's pulling down the president's approval rating? Look at the numbers. Only 37% say he is capable of handling a crisis. What's more, the survey shows that Republicans have double-digit leads in dealing with border security, inflation, crime, national security, the economy, and the job of getting things done. Democrats only have a small lead in dealing with climate change, coronavirus, education, and abortion. This is what is really happening right now. Since taking office, the Biden administration has hastily adopted some far-left policies on major issues, including the southern border crisis caused by disastrous refugee policies, mandatory vaccinations, socialist education such as CRT in schools, and the disastrous withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. And don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.